Hi, sixth grade social studies teachers. This is Callie, and today we're going to walk through the financial literacy unit plan. This is the 6th unit of the year and comes after ancient India to give a little break to the ancient civilization studies. There are 5 lessons in this unit, and it takes around 6 days to complete. There's a slideshow that will help you move through the instruction for this unit. Students are going to explore how wants and needs affect budgeting, how to allocate income, various payment and saving options, and how to protect oneself from identity theft. So we're hitting all of the financial literacy standards for 6th graders in this unit. Lesson 1 is called Wants and Needs and is set to take 1 day. So in this lesson, students are going to explore the idea of wants versus needs, which is something that should be familiar from previous grades, and how this connects to financial planning. So we have a compelling question that focuses on the concept of a financially literate person. And then we have a video clip of the song I Want It Now off of Willy Wonka. And we can make observations about Veruca, how she wants everything, how she's greedy, how she doesn't necessarily care about the rules. At that point, we can introduce supporting question 1 and give the students the wants and needs worksheets to complete during the lesson. So the first thing we do is ask the students to define a want. And then there is a definition on slide 5 that we can use to support that. Again, we ask students to define a need, and there's a definition on slide 6 to use. Then we're going to practice identifying wants versus needs. So on slide 7, is this a want or a need for food? This is obviously a need. The candy is a want. Then we have students list 5 things they need every month and 5 things they want. On their worksheet, there's a spot to list the 5 things they need every month, such as food, clothing, shelter. And then there's a section for them to put in the item they want, as well as the price of the item, focusing on most important to least important. Up next is a bit of information about the concept of a budget. So we have a sample budget that we can look at, and we want to discuss the following items. We want to point out that there's a total monthly income, the items that represent needs and wants, where we see spending, giving, and if there's any savings, and a little bit of conversation on why there isn't a savings listed there. The X activity is just to complete the last question on the worksheet and then to turn that in. Lesson 2 is called Planning a Party and should take a day. Each student is going to need the Planning a Budget worksheet. And basically for this lesson, students are creating a budget to be able to plan for a party. So the students will read through the information on one side and pick out the important information needed to make decisions, such as considering the number of people involved and if this party is a want or a need in this particular situation. Then we have students complete the backside, which is page 12, to set up the party budget. And I would recommend doing this with a partner, but you can also have students do this individually. Then you can either have students write down the responses to the reflection or just do a quick little discussion about how using a budget affected party plans and how using a budget can be helpful. Lesson 3 is all about spending. And so we will want the financial literacy worksheet for students to use. This lesson is meant to take 1 day, and students are going to figure out how to allocate income for spending, saving, and giving, focusing on the 50-30-20 method. So we start off with a compelling question: why is it important to be a financially literate person? Then we pass out the financial literacy worksheet that students will work on through the lesson. There is an answer key provided as needed. Then we continue by reviewing the meaning of the term budget. We can look at the sample budget again and point out things we see, such as bills, purchases, and charitable giving. Then we're going to want to define income and have students find it on the budget, and define expenses and again have them find it on the budget. The first 2 questions on the financial literacy worksheet would be a good place for students to write down the definition of each of those. Then we're going to talk through the idea of allocating income with the 50-30-20 method. 50% should be spent on the essentials. 30% is for discretionary spending, and 20% is for savings. So if we have $100, $50 should go towards food, shelter, clothing, and health. $30 would go towards discretionary. So this would be our entertainment or more of our wants. And $20 would need to go into our savings account. Students would answer questions 3, 4, 5, 6, and practice figuring out the percentages in the table. Then we move on to discussion about different types of payment options. So debit cards, credit cards, gift cards, and how those are different from savings accounts. So when we look on slide 30, we want people to take a guess of which one's debit, which one's credit, and which one's gift card. The answers are on slide 31. Students will want to write in the information on the table at the bottom of the first page of their financial literacy worksheet. There's also a section to figure out which one is the savings account, which of course is the last one here. Then we move on to the payment game, in which students take a guess of which type of card matches the statement. So you need a PIN, personal identification number, with this card to withdraw money from an ATM. That's going to be your debit card. So students will go through and mark what they think. Once this is done, then you go through and provide the answers, and students get a point for each correct one. Lesson 4 is called Save It, and takes 1 day to complete. And in this one, we're going to focus more on the aspects of how to save money, the various saving tools available, and the advantages and disadvantages of each. We introduce this lesson by asking what people can do with their money besides simply spending it. We can talk about saving it and that there are a few options for savings accounts. You can use this resource to look through the benefits and risks, have a quick discussion about savings account versus debit cards to compare and contrast them, and then move into a budget using the Evaluating Savings lesson plan. Students are going to need access to these 2 items, and there's a suggested answer key at the end of the lesson plan. Lesson 5 is called Protecting My Identity and takes 2 days to complete. And this lesson comes from the TD Bank Identity Theft lesson plan and has been a little bit modified so that it fits our 6th graders a little bit better. So we're going to talk about identity theft and focusing on why we should care about it. Then we can look through a few of the top ways of identity theft, such as dumpster diving, skimming, phishing, hacking, stealing, and unsecured websites. Ask students what they think would happen if someone's personal information was stolen. We don't want to make this very scary, but we do want to make it seem important to know. Explain that understanding some of the what ifs will make it easier to remember to take the steps to protect identity. We have a little bit of discussion on public Wi-Fi, on phishing, and there's a Netflix email that can be used to figure out if it is real or a scam. Then you can talk through what to do and then have students create an infographic or a comic strip to teach others how to protect themselves from identity theft. Now, there isn't a specific summative lesson put together. If you would like, you can have students answer the compelling question, or you can use the formatives from the individual lesson to gather data to make sure that students understand the importance of being a financially literate person. I hope this video was a helpful resource as you prepare to teach the financial literacy unit. Please reach out to your PLC leader, instructional coach, or curriculum facilitator if you have any questions or are in need of any support.